Hello everyone, today I'm making corn chowder, a classic American recipe with roots that go all the way back before 1865. This dish actually tells a story about the blending of Native American food traditions and early European settler cooking. So while I make it, I'll explain how it became such an important part of early American culture. As I chop 2 whole onions, it's interesting to think about how something so simple played an important role in early American cooking. Onions were easy to grow, store, and use, which made them a staple in both Native American and colonial kitchens. Indigenous peoples often used onions and other vegetables to flavor their stews, while European settlers added them to their soups and chowders to bring depth and richness. Even a small ingredient like this helped turn basic ingredients, corn, potatoes, and broth, into a hearty, flavorful meal. It's a reminder that the foods we enjoy today were shaped by both practicality and tradition back in the early days of America. Now I'm adding the onions to the pan to start sautéing them. This step is where flavor really builds. Those onions will soften and release their natural sweetness, which forms the base for our chowder. Early American cooks, both Native American and European settlers, relied on this kind of simple technique to make their stews and soups taste rich without needing expensive spices. By gently cooking the onions first, we're layering flavor, just like they did hundreds of years ago, blending practical cooking with tradition to create something hearty and delicious. As I chop these golden potatoes, it's important to remember that potatoes were another key ingredient in early American kitchens. Native Americans introduced tubers and other root vegetables to European settlers, who quickly realized how versatile and filling they were. Potatoes were easy to grow, store through the winter, and add bulk to stews and soups like corn chowder. First, I'm adding a little olive oil to the pan to help saute the onions and build flavor. Using fat like this is something European settlers often did. They would cook in fats to bring out richness in soups and chowders. Next, I'm opening the creamed corn, which is a modern convenience, but corn itself has been a staple in American cooking for thousands of years. As these onions start to sizzle, this is really the moment when the flavor of the chowder comes alive. Early American cooks depended on simple ingredients like this to build richness in their stews and soups. Onions were cheap, easy to grow, and lasted through the winter, so both Native American and European settlers used them constantly in everyday cooking. Sautéing them like this softens the sharpness and builds out a natural sweetness, just like it would have in colonial kitchens. As these potatoes hit the pan, they start soaking up all that flavor we've already built. Potatoes became popular in early America because they were sturdy, reliable, and could turn a simple pot of ingredients into a full meal. Even now, they give the chowder that thick, cozy texture everyone loves. As I pull the stems off this parsley, I'm doing something cooks have done for centuries to get the best flavor out of their herbs. The leafy tops of parsley are soft, bright, and full of fresh flavor, but the stems are much tougher and a bit more bitter. In early American kitchens, herbs like this were important because they added freshness to simple dishes made from staple ingredients. Removing the stems helps the parsley blend smoothly into the chowder without leaving any chewy pieces behind. It also gives our final dish that clean green pop of color that makes it look as good as it tastes. Even though it seems like a small step, taking the time to separate the leaves from the stem really elevates the texture and flavor. Now I'm adding in 2 cans of corn, and this is really the heart of the whole recipe. Corn has been a major food in North America for thousands of years. Indigenous peoples, especially in the Northeast, grew dried and cooked corn long before Europeans ever arrived. They used it in stews, porridges, bread, and even ceremonial dishes. Next, I'm dropping in a dollop of butter. Early colonists didn't always have butter, especially during hard winters. But when dairy farming grew in the 1700s and early 1800s, butter became a common way to enrich soups and chowders. Now I'm adding in the onions and 2 cups of water, which is exactly what early American cooks would have used. Just water or broth to simmer a big pot of vegetables. Nothing fancy, just practical and filling. Once everything is in, I'll let it heat up and begin to simmer, the same way cooks did in colonial homes and on farms. Now I'm pouring in 2 cups of whole milk, which is what gives the chowder its creamy body. In early America, chowders didn't always include milk, but by the early 1800s, dairy became more common in New England cooking. Families who had access to cows or local dairies started adding milk to make their chowders richer and more filling. Alright, the chowder is finished simmering and everything has come together perfectly, creamy, warm, and thick, just like an early American corn chowder should be. I'm ladling it into the bowl now, and you can really see the potatoes have softened and the corn has sweetened the broth. To finish it off, I'm adding a sprinkle of fresh parsley. Parsley might seem simple, but even in early American cooking, it was used to brighten up heavy dishes. It adds a fresh, herbal note and a pop of color that makes the chowder look even more inviting. And just like that, the dish is ready to serve.